So as a part of the discernment process, I want you to look at the 4 stages of a relationship, and the timelines are huge, right? As to when these stages took place in your relationship, but really important to notice because one of my questions to you was, when did the major stressors start happening in the relationship? So let's note that with where you've been. These stages can last varying times. Of course, there's typical amounts of time that have been researched that most relationships enter into the next stage. The first stage is the attraction stage, and this is the dating stage where you're really attracted, really excited to be around the other person, can't wait to see them again. And then you go into exploration stage of the relationship and into a honeymoon period, which is about 4 months, 4 to 6 months. During that time, there's a lot of intimacy, a lot of dating, a lot of fun. This is such an important stage because when the next stage happens and there's a deepening and a challenge to the relationship, this stage reminds you, this beginning stage is where the relationship can go, the potential of closeness that the relationship can have. And it's great to be able to use that as a model and continue to develop that intimacy stage and that exploration of closeness stage. But it will be tested in the next stage. So as you start deepening the relationship, the honeymoon period becomes a little bit over because we're into real life. And real life has stress in it. Real life has routine in it. And so there's more maybe power struggles that come up. And then the couple is really working on whether they can adjust to this next stage of exploration, power struggles, and make the adjustments needed so the relationship can stay together. And then we have the commitment stage. And the commitment stage is when there's a real buckling down to know that people are going to stay together, they're going to stay the course, they're going to continue to need to develop coping mechanisms and problem solving skills and communication skills. And one thing that I feel like happens in the commitment stage that needs to be done on the regular is to continue to visualize what stage of development the relationship is going into. Like, for example, if you decide to have kids or buy a house, or you start growing up, like maybe you met in your 20s and you're starting to grow up and you're in your 30s, what is the vision that you have for yourself and your life with your partner? And how can you work on that vision together? What kinds of things do you want to explore in yourself? What kinds of growth do you want to do individually, maybe in your career? What kind of household do you want to run? What kind of financial goals do you have, social goals? So this is really important that there is a visioning of different chapters in the relationship. And sometimes I think when people get in trouble in their relationships, they stop having a vision for the relationship. And so the relationship really doesn't have a place to go or grow. And it's just kind of floating, and maybe that's when a lot of dissatisfaction happens or needs become unmet because there's not a lot of communication and planning for the relationship to go into different directions and for relationship growth. Um, in the commitment stage, there's also a challenge of intimacy, especially if you've been with people for very long periods of time. You have to work on your intimacy, work on feeling excited about them, and being sexually intimate together, spending time together. Maybe you're kind of the last on your list of that person, and maybe that person's the last on your list because there's so much activity happening in the family, the household, your lives. And so making time for each other. The commitment stage of our relationship goes through many stages of connection and disconnection. So I always think about it is whether the couple can deal with transitions well, whether they can come together, find that place where they connect, and whether they have an intellectual connection, a physical connection, activity connection, a domestic connection, but where is their areas of connection? And if they can continue to do that and continue to have times where they're really taking a big view on the relationship, a wide angle view on the relationship, so they can see it sort of projected on a screen, that you can see it as going through different chapters, different stages, needing different things from each other, needing different things from the world. Can you have that open of a connection in the commitment stage of your relationship? And I think if you can endure a lot of years of growth together.